Bye-bye, Twitter. Hello, X. What is going on? Have you been on Twitter today? So I went on this morning, and the little blue bird disappeared, or at least is in the process of disappearing, because when I first logged on, the little blue bird was still there on my tab, but X appeared on the page. Now X appears on the tab. It seems Twitter is being rebranded to the letter X. What is Elon Musk up to now with all these things? We turn to CARMI LEVY, our CTV tech analyst. Thanks so much for your time today, CARMI.
Great to be here, Natasha. Thanks for having me.
So it's evolving as we speak, right? Because like I said, this morning, I still had the little blue bird on my tab, but not on the actual page. So is it a done deal now? Is that it? Goodbye, blue bird. We're never going to see it again?
That is the long-term vision. Unlike most rebrandings where, it is pulled off with military precision, every example of the logo is quickly replaced. They don't just replace the logo, they replace the coloring, the fonts, everything associated with the old brand, the old trademark. That's not the case here. Elon Musk woke up the other night, it was just after midnight, and he just started mass tweeting one after the other, saying this was coming. He kind of does that. He sort of, I'm not sure he really plans them. I think he just kind of wings it. Whatever hits him, he just grabs his phone and goes.
Totally.
And exactly. So, if you look at your app, it's still the Twitter app. It still has the blue bird. And so we're kind of like bits and pieces because I don't think this was really thought through with any kind of military precision. It was simply on a whim. And we're kind of seeing that. He told his people, let's just change the logo, and without realizing just how big a thing this really can be.
So then it immediately begs the question about what's really going on here. I mean, Twitter has been in a free fall. I started to ask myself, is he literally just deliberately trying to sink the brand, sink everything about it so as to have some sort of massive tax write-off? I don't know, CARMI. What is really going on behind this? I mean, not that I think it's impossible to get inside Elon Musk's brain, so good luck with that part of the question. What's going on here?
Yeah, I don't think, even if I could, I don't think I'd want to get in
me
there.
Neither.
Strange place. But we know full well, obviously he's very underwater. Company's worth a lot less than it was when he bought it. He paid $44 billion for it. Advertising revenue has crashed by some estimates between 50 and 60%. I'm sure it's even more by now. He's tried to replace some of that with subscription revenues. That hasn't gone very well either. Who wants to pay money for this? I can very easily participate for free. I'll hold on to my money. Thank you very much. So you put it all together, and it really has, it's kind of turned into a debacle. His original vision for Twitter really compromised by the fact that he doesn't really have a vision. He doesn't have a strategy. He just keeps skidding from one ridiculous decision to another. The latest one being deciding to limit the number of tweets that anyone can view on a given day before it goes dark, and they have to sign it again the next day. It defies logic. And we know that he kind of has this future vision for what he calls the X app, or the everything app, which is sort of like WeChat in China, where it's messaging, it's streaming, it's video and audio chat, it's payment systems, online banking, pretty much the only app that you would ever need. And that's a pretty broad thing to want to build. That takes a huge amount of resources. And if he can pull this off, that'd be actually pretty amazing. I think we'd all agree that'd be a neat app to have.
Sure, yeah.
Sometimes I'd love to have that on my phone, but it takes a lot of really smart people to build that. And, I work with software developers every day, and he just fired 3/4 of the company, and they can barely keep the lights on as it is. So I don't really see that happening. The engineering, I don't see where that's going to come from. But
so is this his backup?
Yeah,
that's what I wonder. Is he he's going, there's no way I can pull that off, or at least not in any kind of realistic timeline. So instead, I'm going to turn Twitter into X, into that. I mean, it can't be the app per se, but that's the brand.
I think that's part of it. I think, everyone's paying attention to all the negative things that have happened since he took over 9 months ago. And he's basically trying to say, hey, everyone, don't look over at that fire over there. Look over here. I got something new and cool and shiny to show you. And it's very P.T. Barnum-esque. It is very much the way he operates. He is quite the showman. And he does have enough of a track record of success, reusable rockets with SpaceX, electric vehicles with Tesla. I mean, this guy has succeeded in disrupting and reinventing industry. Mm-hmm. So it's not like he's not stupid. He's brilliant. But, with Twitter, I think he kind of finally ran into something that he just can't quite figure out. Social media companies are a very different animal than car companies, than rocket companies. And I think he's learning that the hard way now. And I think the rebranding is part of that. Buy himself some time so that he can figure out how he's going to go build that app. And maybe by then we'll have gotten used to the new brand.
Okay. So this idea that he's banking on his own success, his track record, that because everything seems to work out for him in the end. And in the meantime, he's getting a massive free marketing campaign from all of us who are wondering what the heck is going on and talking about it.
Yeah, he's definitely one of those people who believes that any publicity is good publicity. So even if people are raging on him, he revels in that. He loves being the master of chaos. When he is being trolled and attacked online, that's when, first of all, his supporters become, most vocal. But he also seems to come alive in that. He has spent his entire career proving the naysayers wrong. I followed him. I first became interested in him when I was kind of following the SpaceX story, and they were trying to get into orbit with a rocket called the Falcon 1, launching it from the Kwajalein Atoll in the South Pacific, and failing and failing and failing again, and they were down to fumes. They had no money, and everybody wrote him off. And he proved he just gutted it out, got his people together. They sacrificed everything, and they made it into orbit. And the rest, of course, is history. Now they've essentially rewritten the rules of the industry by driving reusability. They're driving costs down. The entire industry spent 50 years saying that could never be done. So he's done this before, but I just don't think that doesn't translate to Twitter, and it certainly doesn't translate to a social media platform where you have to make sure that you keep it safe enough for everyone to participate, but you also make sure that you support freedom of speech. I don't think he understands the subtleties in walking that high wire act, and this is a very different sort of playground than he's ever been used to, and he doesn't seem to know how to manage his way out of it.
I don't think he understands loyalty, like brand loyalty. I also don't know that he understands trust. Do you know what I mean? In terms of we trust Twitter. I don't anymore. I don't use Twitter the way I used it at all before, and I don't know that damage can ever be done. I was not a huge Twitter person, but I used it very regularly to consume information, and I find I don't trust it as much as I used to. I'm surely not alone in that, CARMI.
You're certainly not, because I'm seeing that in my own network, and I'm always reaching out, sort of within my spheres to kind of see what people are thinking and feeling. Twitter is no longer a publicly traded company, so we don't get the data from that end. So we're reduced to figuring it out anecdotally, right? What do my friends think? And most of my friends are saying exactly the same thing. It's there's so much hate speech on the platform now, and Elon Musk not only does nothing to address it or rein it in, but he encourages it. He actively retweets known white supremacists, dog whistles to anti-Semitic content. He's right there, right in the middle of it, not doing anything to suppress it, which to me is incredibly frightening and frankly irresponsible for a guy who claims to want to, have a better future for all of us. So, you're
Agreed.
right. I wouldn't trust him as far as I can throw him. And quite frankly, I think, this is a perfect example of why tech platforms like Twitter need to be more regulated. Are we going to leave it up to Elon Musk to decide what is right or wrong or ethically correct? Or do we need to rein in the worst inclinations of a guy who seems to be basically behaving like a large child?
Yeah, and toying with us it. Feels very deliberate. Before we run out of time, we are out of time, but just I want to squeeze in about Threads. So how has Threads, I've been off for 2 weeks, and it seems to me that Threads has just gone completely bonkers in that time frame. What's the latest with that?
Yeah, huge out of the gate, 100 million signups in 5 days, but we are seeing some data that shows that sustained use, so over time, is starting to really soften the engagement, the amount of time that people are spending on the platform, down 50 to 70%. Doesn't mean that the game is over, not even close. This is a marathon, not a sprint. Threads is, of course, working on new features that were missing when they first launched it. They're going to keep investing in the platform. I'm on it, and my network is actually pretty active. So I'm going to stick with it. And I know a lot of people are as well. A lot of brands have moved over, influencers. So, it's nowhere near game over. And quite frankly, I think this is the one keeping Elon Musk at night, despite the fact that it's kind of up and down in its first few weeks. This is going to go on for a while.
All right. I will find you on Threads. You're the best, CARMI. Thanks.
There.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Natasha. Appreciate it.
CTV's tech analyst, CARMI LEVY.